What's going on, guys? Asian guy here. I am back from the sickness. Insert clip right here.
Hello, Jojo. Hello. Good morning. Jojo, come over here. No! Come over here.
As you can see from that clip, I was really well, my throat was really messed up and I just could not do any commentary whatsoever. That's why I had to take a very, I wouldn't say brief, but I had to take a break from a bit of live streaming and commentating to let my throat heal. I'm fully healed up and bam! What do you know? We have got Legend Kaido. Big apologies on behalf of myself and also any other manga reader or any other, or just Bandai in general, because they keep pushing out these units. Spoilers, you know, without regarding the spoilers, they're pushing out all these units and it's not very considerate of non-manga readers. But it is what it is, you know, they can't really delay these units any much longer with filler units. They've just released Quick Whitebeard onto Japan as well. They're really trying their hardest not to spoil. Do give them that little benefit of the doubt if you can, guys. It happened with Snake Man, happened with Katakuri and whatnot. All these spoilers that do come out, I'm afraid you won't be able to avoid them if you are playing the Japanese version of One Piece Treasure Cruise. The Reddit, however, does do a very nice job of covering up the spoilers. Now, Kaido, he is a Dex, Powerhouse, and Striker legend. I won't lie to you guys. Overall, this legend is absolutely superb. He is like the dream legend for someone like me who just wants to auto farm. The dream legend. But having said that, I am a tiny bit disappointed because while this information came out, I didn't know. Luckily, one of the audience I have, Fabrizio, shout out to you. He actually sent me a direct message saying, "Whoa, what is this?" I was like, damn, the actual Kaido came out. And during that time, I was making a Kaido concept video, and it's a little bit similar to what this Kaido actually turned out to be. I'll talk about it after what this Kaido actually does, but I'll also explain to you why I'm a little bit disappointed. But in here, let's begin with Kaido. So, Dex, Powerhouse, and Striker. He will boost attack of Powerhouse and Strike units by 4 times, which is a very good amount. Just a solid flat 4 times attack boost is lovely. 1.25 times HP boost, making him very tanky. Reduces cooldown of those types, so Powerhouse and Striker units, by 2 turns, making him a very quick captain as well, just like Carrot, Legend Carrot. And he will deal 400 times Dex damage, so you can imagine at least 900,000 damage at the end of the turn to all enemies. This is Dex damage, so it's not typeless damage like V to Akainu, so to strength units, it will probably do like maximum 500,000 damage, but to Dex or to quick enemies, it will be like 1.6 million to 2 million damage at the end of the turn, just from one Kaido. Remember, you're going to have 2 of these absolute monsters, so that could be anywhere up to 4 million damage, which is pretty damn nutty. Activates his special Borrow Breath, or in Japanese, Boroburetsu, at the beginning of the quest, just like Legend Carrot. Now, when I say just like Legend Carrot, I mean Legend Carrot has that animation at the beginning where she goes Sulong form, and then this is probably what's going to happen to Kaido. I don't know if he's originally going to start as a dragon or if he's going to transform into a dragon. I won't spoil what exactly happens in the anime. We might talk about that later in the video, but don't worry about it now. But this is the part where it gets a little bit confusing. So he's going to activate his special at the beginning of the quest, or at the beginning of the adventure, and now his special will reduce all enemies' HP by 20%. And I'm not sure if that actually activates at the very beginning of the adventure. So all the fodder you start off against, is he going to reduce all their HP by 20%? I'm not 100% sure. We'll move on to the second part of the special. At the end of every turn, deal 400 times Dex damage to all enemies as well. So that is the same as his captain ability and also the same as his special. Now, the thing that confuses me is this 400 times Dex damage like a buff, like the Diamante buff where you have end of turn damage? Or is it just inherently built into his captain ability? Or is it both? So do you get the Diamante damage, then followed by his special damage? So this will be more like the Time Skip Colosseum Kid, who's also a Dex damage dealer. His captain ability will have end of turn damage, and then his special will also have end of turn damage, and those actually stack. Now there is red font writing in the disclaimer saying that this damage doesn't stack, but it doesn't really phrase if this is like a specific buff or a specific debuff or whatever you want to call it. So I'm not 100% certain on that regard. However, when you do activate the special the second time round, or when it's not used at the beginning of the adventure, like automatically used, He will then cut the enemy's HP by 20% at the start of every round as well. So it's kind of enhancing this special every turn ability, while also still dealing 400 times dex damage at the end of the turn. This damage does not stack. So with this wording, what confuses me, because it doesn't specifically say it, is if you have double Kaido, does it not stack? Or is it saying for each individual Kaido, the captain ability damage and also the special ability damage does not stack? That really, really makes it confusing, because if it stacks, we're going to be having, for example, at the beginning of every turn with double Kaido, you have a 20% HP cut, followed by another 20% HP cut. If you finish that turn, you have 400 times attack, 400 times attack, 400 times attack, and 400 times attack back to back to back to back, which is absolutely absurd. Now, Kaido should be busted. He is the strongest creature alive. He should be busted. And he's going to be firing like a massive fire beam, laser beam from his breath, from his mouth. And I'm assuming that's what the theme is here, but it's still not very clear how busted this really is. Because if it's 4 times 400 times, so 1,000, or not 1,000, is it 1,600? It is 1,600 times a dex damage at the end of the turn. That is pretty damn crazy. I don't think it's going to be that. I think it will be 800 with double Kaido, and then you have 20% on top of 20% at the beginning of each turn. And that in itself is interesting. But don't just leave it just down to that special, guys. He still has 4 times attack to powerhouse and strike units and 1.25 times HP as well as an inherent 2-turn cooldown, meaning he has 4 times cooldown reduction with just double Kaido, 6 turns if you have the cooldown sockets, and I'm sure any ship you use with him is probably going to give you 1 or 2 turns as well, probably 1 turn. So you should assume you already have 7-turn cooldown reduction. I'm assuming Kaido's captain ability, not his captain ability, beg your pardon, his special ability is most likely going to be quite a low cooldown, meaning you can use that special almost immediately as well. There's also a high potential that his limit break might have some sort of cooldown reduction, which would really, really make him pretty damn awesome if you ask me. Now, the interesting thing here is that if you are able to get his special off before the boss round, that's actually quite a useful special, for example, against Kizuna Kessen or Bond Battle, whatever you want to call it. I feel like this is what it's kind of geared towards. Like, if you get into the later stages of Bond Battle or Kizuna Kessen, 20% HP cut is going to be a lot. 20% on top of a further 20% preemptively is going to be a lot, which is pretty damn amazing. There is also a note here saying that when an enemy uses a preemptive turn, that there will be no damage in between there as well, so do take that into consideration. I know some units actually give you like an extra turn of damage. I believe Diamante does that, but that is not the case for Dex Kaido here. But that is Kaido Legend. Honestly, a dream unit for so many people. Bear in mind, he does not have any inherent, for example, orb manipulation or beneficial orbs. That's going to have to come from his subs. But he just drops out flat out damage. He's Vito Kainu on extreme drugs right now. And he looks absolutely amazing. That artwork looks absolutely superb. And I have to say, I might prefer the unevolved artwork to the evolved artwork. Beg your pardon, if I can find the evolved artwork. This is the evolved artwork. He looks very angry here. But that is the evolved artwork. When I first saw it, I wasn't sure if it was originally from One Piece Treasure Cruise, but apparently it is. We have the official one here now, in-game. It's going to be a 2 times legend rate. It seems like there's going to be a lottery award as well, where you can win up to 300 gems, which is pretty awesome. Am I going to be pulling on this SugoFest? Realistically speaking, probably. But honestly, I don't think I need this legend. I think, you know, if you have Luffy and Law, if you have Douglas Bullet, who I would say is still the best legend in the game. Douglas Bullet, the new Stampy Luffy, and Luffy Law, I would say are the 3 still the best legends in the game right now. This Kaido, yeah, most likely going to prove me wrong, will become the best legend in the game. But right now, just looking at this off of paper, I don't think he's the best legend in the game. I really, really don't think he is. I'm just a tiny wincy bit disappointed. It still depends on his limit breaks and his cooldowns, because if you can activate all of that very early on into the stage or very early on into the adventure, then yeah, he's definitely up there as one of the best legends in the game. But regardless, still a fantastic top 5 legend as a captain at the least. Very, very, very good. And even as a sub, that is such a good special. That is a disgustingly good special. So he still has both his, advantages and disadvantages. But let's go into what I had as my concept. Now, this concept will make more sense if you see or if you've already seen what happens in the manga. And if you don't want like a 5% spoiler, because you're gonna have to work out a lot from what I put down into this concept to even work out what Kaido's abilities are. Not even his abilities, what Kaido is like in the manga / the anime. Then you can just click off the video now. Thank you very much for watching if you just tuned in for the actual Kaido. But if you're interested into what concept I had and why I'm disappointed to a degree with this Kaido, let's get into it. So the Kaido concept I had was, as you can see, I was literally in the making of it when this came out. Kaido for me was originally going to be strength. Dex is really, for me, has always been about units who have weapons and stuff. I guess Kaido does have a weapon, but if he's in double dragon form, I don't see why he's Dex. I also don't see why he's a striker if he's in double dragon form, unevolved and evolved. If he's going to be a dragon, I don't see the point in him being a Dex unit. So I had him as strength, I had him as powerhouse and driven, because again, I don't see the point of him if he doesn't have his, I forgot what this weapon is called, but if he doesn't have it, then I don't see why he has to be a striker. So I had him as powerhouse and driven. However, his captain ability in concept would have been boost attack of driven, powerhouse, shooter, strike units by 3.5 times attack, and his own by 4 times attack. So a little bit similar to his treasure map mode unit, who I used the sprite of right there. Reduce damage taken by 30%. Tandem orbs become sake orbs. Now, sake is like wine or alcohol in Japanese, so very similar to similar orbs of Big Mom. Now, sake orbs will not be shuffled. They're like rainbow orbs, they're like similar orbs, and that's what I wanted Kaido to originally have. Consuming 12 of these, that is a big ask, transforms Kaido into the dragon form. Makes recovery 0 for all units, meaning you can't use any healing specials and you cannot use recovery orbs. That's why I've given him 30% damage reduction, so you can actually stall somewhat to get 12 sake orbs. Because I'm sure there's going to be units out there, if this was the actual concept, where you would have the sailor ability, like start the quest off with 6 tandem orbs, which would eventually become 6 sake orbs. Just like how you have Dex Shirahoshi or the strength powerhouse, I believe Striker Sanji, maybe the Rayleigh Shop Sanji, the one that locks chain to 2.5 times, they make meet all counters. They make meet your entire board at the beginning of the adventure. So that's what I had in mind. And, no healing, no recovery, no healing specials would make it a little bit trickier to stall 12 sake orbs. That's what I wanted, but you still have the 30% damage reduction. Now, his dragon form has something else bigger and better. It will boost attack of the same classes, driven, powerhouse, shooter, and striker units by 4 times, and Kaido himself in dragon form as 4.5 times. So a little bit similar to Douglas Bullet here. He will reduce damage taken by 80%, so like the Sai gear for Luffy, and once per turn, or once per adventure, sorry, not once per turn, once per adventure, this is where the little bit of spoiler comes through, upon taking fatal damage, heal to half HP and revert back to human form. So if you are about to be KO'd with one Kaido as dragon form, you'd be able to survive that hit and revert back to human form, and then that basically gives you 2 extra lives with the 2 Kaidos if you are running this double Kaido. Dragon Kaido's attack deals 100% damage to the target and 50% to all others. So in my mind, the thing that was similar for me is the concept of Kaido doing some major AoE damage to all enemies while he's a dragon, and then when he's not a dragon, he goes back to single target damage. That's what I had in mind. That's essentially what it would have been. I mean, that's just common sense, how is he going to do AoE with just this? Whereas in the dragon form, he's, blowing places apart with his breath, his Boroburetsu. But that's what I had in mind. I thought that would have been pretty cool. It's similar to Douglas Bullet, but Douglas Bullet's AoE damage is way more OP. It's 2 times his rainbow normal attack damage at the end of the turn as well, so it will deal with revives as well, and it lasts for 2 turns as well. And then just 2 times that damage he does is absolutely absurd. Whereas Dragon Kaido's is just 100% damage, so his normal damage, and then 50% to everyone surrounding as well. Now the special here would make Kaido Dragon Kaido instantly. So this is kind of similar to Gear 4 Luffy Tank Man the V2G4 Luffy, as people like to call him, the quick Gear 4 Luffy that came out on the 4-year anniversary, I would like to say, where you have to use meat orbs, and then you have like a meat gorge or gauge, and then eventually you build it up and you're able to switch into Tank Man. Except with Kaido, it's only him normal form and then dragon form, but with the special you can instantly, just like that, become Dragon Kaido. Completely removes binder paralysis on himself, just himself, nobody else, because that's how I view it. That's how I view Kaido. He doesn't really care too much about his underlings. It's all about the underlings empowering him to become #1 and as powerful as possible. If Kaido is your captain, increase Kaido's base attack depending on how many sake orbs were consumed before activating this special. Maximum of 1,500 attack boost for his base attack boost, and then following that base attack boost, deal 500 times Kaido's attack in typeless damage to all enemies that ignore defensive effects. That's what I wanted, guys. That's what I had in mind. Please do let me know, if you're still watching up to this point, what you thought of my concept, because I thought, reading the manga, I felt like this concept fits him so perfectly. So perfectly. And then when I saw that, as I was typing this out, I was like, damn, the real Kaido's come out. I wonder what it's like. And I just saw Kaido just pure and raw AoE. There's no damage reduction. I mean, they've emphasized so many times how his body is indestructible and how he hasn't been able to die over and over. I would have thought they would have incorporated that theme into Legend Kaido. They didn't, which is why I'm a tiny bit disappointed with the current Kaido. Maybe V2 Kaido might have something more similar to this. Let me know what you guys think of the actual Kaido and also what you think of the concept Kaido. Thank you so much for watching, guys. It's been a while since I've been pretty hyped up for One Piece Treasure Cruise with new units, because let's be real, Quick Whitebeard coming out on Japan now, nobody cares, literally nobody cares. But there we have it, Powerhouse and Striker Dex Kaido. His artwork is absolutely bellissimo. It's absolutely beautiful, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to hashtag Danka Bandai with a bellissimo and pray to the gods that you get blessed, because you've seen my luck on my channel, guys. I have been shafted after shafted after shafted recently, and hopefully I can turn this around with Kaido. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day for the final time, and bye-bye.